Welcome to Lesson 2 in Unit 20, What Energy Does. In this lesson, students will answer the question, how does energy make things move? In the previous lesson, students discovered that heat, light, electricity, sound, and motion are all evidence of energy. They will narrow their focus as they investigate energy of motion. Students will consider that an input of energy is required to apply a force and make an object move. Students will observe the motion of a wind-up car and determine if the amount of energy put into a wind-up car affects how much energy the car has when it is in motion. Students will come to understand that when you add energy to a system, it can make things move from place to place. In the engage portion of this lesson, students will discuss the questions shown here. Encourage them to describe all that happens to start a car. Add gas, charge the battery, shut the door, put your seatbelt on, turn or press the key, shift the car into gear, push on the pedal, etc. They should realize after all these things are done, then the car will move. In the explore portion of this lesson, divide students into 6 groups. Give each group a pullback car. Give them time to hold the car, make observations, think about how the car moves, and how they can make the car travel the farthest. Once each student has had the chance to make observations about the car in their group, ask the question, how could we design an investigation to find out more about what might make the car move the farthest? Have students turn and talk to a partner to discuss their ideas. Take a few ideas and record them. Review the questions students are investigating, and then lead a discussion about the components of a fair test. Next, give each group a set of fair test cards. Have students put the vocabulary cards into 3 piles: the definitions, the pictures, and the vocabulary words. Have students lay the vocabulary words out. Next, students should take turns choosing a picture, describing what they see in the picture, and placing it underneath the vocabulary word they think that it describes. When they finish with the picture cards, students should move on to the definitions. Students should take turns each reading the definitions and choosing which vocabulary word they think it describes. They should then justify their choice. Once students are finished with this activity, support them by sharing the correct answers found in the lesson plan sidebar. Ask them to reflect on this. Were they correct? If not, why not? What new knowledge have they gained? Continuing on, students will use the pullback cars to see if there is a relationship between how far a car is pulled back, in other words wound up, representing the energy that they put into the system, and how far it goes, representing the energy output. Students will find that the more they pull back and wind up the car, they are adding more input energy, so the farther it will move and have more output energy. To begin, you will give each group a copy of Energy in a Car, found on student pages 6 and 7. Give students time to think and share with a partner. Then discuss with the class the variables in the investigation and have students record their thinking on their student page. The variable they are changing is the distance they pull back the car. The variables that they are measuring is the distance the car travels. The variables that they are keeping the same are the type of car, how they wind up the wheels of the car, how they hold the car while winding up the wheels, how they measure the distance, etc. Reference the Unit 20 Lesson 2 Explore tutorial from our website for more information. Using the pullback cars, have the students pull their car back to different distances both on carpet and tile to collect their data. Refer to the teacher pages for guidance on setup and data collection. In the explain portion of this lesson, students will discuss the questions shown here. Focus their productive talk on the input and output of energy that occurred within the system. Students should notice by now that the more energy that they input, in other words, how far back the car was pulled by their hand, there was more energy output, how far the car moved once it was released. Have students work on the analysis and conclusion of their lab in the explain portion of Energy in a Car sheet. Answers and guidance are provided in the teacher pages for clarity. In the Elaborate portion of this lesson, show the video clip of the CP3 Celebrity Bowling Match from PBA Bowling. You may need to play this clip a few times so students can understand what is happening. Then, ask the questions shown here. Refer to the lesson plan for discussion guidance. In the Evaluate portion of this lesson, provide students with the opportunity to demonstrate their understanding on the Energy Input-Output formative assessment. The answer key can be found in the teacher pages. In the optional Extend activity, have your students build a rubber band car similar to the car that they were working with during this lesson. Have your students create their own car that is powered by a rubber band. As they create this model vehicle, have them demonstrate their understanding of the flow of energy by identifying inputs and outputs and tracing the flow of energy in the system. By the end of this lesson, students will come to understand that when you add energy to a system, it can make things move from place to place. This lesson builds the foundation for studying the transfer of energy in collisions that comes up in the next lesson.